Okay, so this video is going to be on the topic of how to most help an adopted child. This specific video came to mind because I was just reading a comment on another video that said their adopted parents, they're wondering how to help the child. They know there's going to be trauma. And the specific question was, how can I show them that I love them? The birth parents don't want any part of their lives. They gave them up for adoption. They don't want to be in their lives. They didn't want a kid, I guess. And now these adopted parents are in the process of adopting them. And they want to know how they can show these kids that they love them. And what first came to my mind was, that's great. I mean, a child needs love. They need a loving home. They need parents. But from my experience and my research, this is the same way I was raised from an infant, being put into my parents' home and them adopting me. They thought that love and opportunity was all I needed. And what they missed was they didn't teach me that I was traumatized at all. They didn't teach me anything about the primal wound, and they didn't teach me anything about maternal separation, racial community, genetic mirroring. None of that was important because it was about them showing that they loved me. So what my answer is to be trauma informed, become an expert in trauma, specifically adoption related, maternal separation, attachment issues, RAD, grief, the 7 core issues of adoption and permanency. Basically have an ongoing education of trauma so you can help the traumatized child understand themselves and their trauma. You wouldn't go to a car wreck patient after they woke up from a coma and say, how do I love you better? How do I show you that I love you more? You would say, you've been in a bad accident. You have this, 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 and this. And you would start acknowledging what trauma they had so they can go on the road to recovery. Now with newborns, they don't have a pre-verbal, can you turn it down a little? They don't have a pre-verbal personality. They're born into the trauma from being separated from their mother at birth, sometimes at the cord. So there's going to be a blueprint that I put down. Look in the description box below. It's just going to be a basic blueprint of everything I've been saying on what I recommend adopted parents do, and it's the same thing other adoptees are saying. I'm just going to go through them really quick, but you can go down in this description below if you want to print it out or whatever you want to do. It's number 1 is that they understand trauma is a prerequisite to adoption. Number 2 is they are trauma informed. They have been through their own traumas and they work through and continue to work through their own experience in healthy ways. Basically fixing yourself before you try to help somebody else that's traumatized. They love me more than anyone, but they know that all the love in the world isn't a magic to fix the PTSD and abundance of other mental and physical health issues that were caused by not years of abuse and neglect, but basically the maternal separation. And if you're adopting from foster care, you really have to understand and become an expert on those traumas that your specific situation that child has and has been through. You cannot think that love is enough. I mean, it's just not. You can love a traumatized person as much as a person can love another human being, and it doesn't acknowledge the trauma they've been through, and it doesn't even start them on the path to a recovery of their trauma. The trauma has to be acknowledged and understood. Number 5, they make me feel safe to process my emotions and work through the grief and trauma, which have a habit of following many adoptees through their whole lives. This is a lifetime process. Once you are relinquished from your parents, the processing of that relinquishment of adoption and everything you go through, it doesn't just magically you grow up into adult and it's just like, processed it, I'm out of the fog, I'm good now, I'm gonna live my life. Like me as an infant adoptee will be processing this and have different feelings on my adoption every single day, and I'm growing and I'm evolving, but it's always gonna be a part of me. It's always gonna be in your child's life. So you have to teach them, the quicker that you can teach your child how to process their own adoption, their own trauma, and be completely truthful in age appropriate ways, that is how you help a child. Not not just love. Of course, love is important. I'm not dismissing that, but it's love plus trauma education and how to do that at age appropriate times. The next one is number 6. Fully secure in knowing that their love for me is not dependent on what relationships I choose to pursue or to cut off with my biological family. A lot of adoptees struggle with the fear or reality of hurting their adoptive parents' feelings if they seek out relationships with biological family. Not to have to worry about that is something you really have to process on your own as an adopted parent. But if you really are for the best interest of your child, you will let them speak about it, especially in that person's case where the birth parents don't want anything to do with them. You have to be the go-to person to have open dialogue and take initiative to say, hey, if you at any time in your life you want to talk about your birth parents and how you feel about that, I am here. I am all ears. I will sit here and listen and say nothing if that's what you want. I will sit here and talk to you if that's what you want. I will get you into a therapy, specifically an adoptee or a relinquished child that knows what the internals are of what they're going through, that can identify with them, that can bounce things off of them. But you are their adoptive parent, so you have to be the one that they feel safe to go to, because there's so many adoptive parents that it makes them uncomfortable because they think that I raised you, you're my own child, and it couldn't be further from the truth. If you think that's helping the child in any way, it's not, because their best interest is they're going to be a part of their biological parents no matter what. I mean, whether it's anger, resentment, denial, they deny that it doesn't matter, rage, I mean, it's going to be a part of them no matter what. So number 7 is they are huge supporters of professional help where needed and mental health advocates. Professional help, I mean, you're going to have to find the right professional help. I've been in therapy 10 plus years, and none of them ever mentioned that adoption could cause any trauma or anything in any negative or problematic way. No racial issues ever got brought up in therapy. I don't know if it's because of how I look. I can keep a pretty stoic face, and I've learned to deal with my anger and grief and just bottle it up and never show it. So maybe that's the reason why we never got to it. But finding a professional that is an adoptee for your adopted relinquished child is of vital importance. Racial community, if you are white or a different race from your child, this cannot be understated or like misunderstood, or you say, oh, that really doesn't matter, because if you think it doesn't matter, we're all telling you as a brown, Asian, whatever we are, black, transracial adoptees raised by white parents, that we were taken away from our culture, heritage, everything that means a lot to us in our history. We need to be put around people that look like us, and to never be told that color doesn't matter. You don't see color, or it's what's on the inside, and racism doesn't exist, because it does for us. And it's very vital to acknowledge that, learn it, educate yourself, have open dialogue in your home, and be the person that they can come to and talk to about racial issues. And if you don't know how to help them, you can get them around the same race of people and have a community that they say they connect with, because there can be another person of the same race and they don't connect with them. So you have to find people that the adoptee says they connect with and identify with. Not to make this too long, but yeah, hope this wasn't too long. I hope you're having a good day. Check in the description box for the full paperwork. Hope you have a good one.